Lieutenant Alex Carter checked his oxygen levels one more time as the shuttle approached the glittering blue-green planet of Zorelia Prime. The mission was supposed to be simple: join the diplomatic team, provide medical support if needed, and help establish peaceful relations with the Zorelians. After 15 years of distant communication, this was humanity's first face-to-face meeting with the alien civilization. 5 minutes to landing, Carter, said the pilot over the intercom. Ready for your first alien encounter? Alex nodded, though his stomach twisted with nervousness. At 32, he had served on 3 space missions, but never one involving first contact. His role as combat medic meant he probably wouldn't even speak directly with the royal family. He was just there in case someone got sick. The massive crystal palace came into view as they descended. It sparkled with colors Alex had never seen before, with towers that seemed to grow naturally from the ground rather than being built. The landing pad was surrounded by tall, slender guards with iridescent skin in shades of blue and green, the Earth. Ambassador led their group of 12 humans into the Grand Hall where they were greeted by Zorelian officials. Alex stayed at the back, taking in every detail. The aliens were humanoid but taller, with graceful movements and skin that seemed to shift colors slightly with their emotions. The welcome ceremony had barely begun when the explosion hit. The blast threw Alex against a wall. His ears rang as he struggled to his feet. Through the smoke, he saw Zorelian guards rushing the Earth delegation toward an exit. He moved to follow, but stopped when he heard a pained cry from a side corridor. "Go, I'll catch up," he shouted. To his team leader, who nodded and continued evacuating with the others, Alex followed the sound down a hall where part of the ceiling had collapsed. There, trapped under a fallen beam, lay a female Zorelian. Even in the chaos, Alex could tell she was different from the others. Her skin shimmered with royal purple patterns, and the guards had been surrounding her during the ceremony, the queen. He was looking at the alien queen. She said something in her language, her voice strained with pain. Blood, a surprising deep blue color, pooled beneath her. Alex's medical training kicked in. "I'm here to help," he said, knowing she wouldn't understand the words but hoping his tone would convey his meaning. He pulled out his emergency med kit and scanned her injuries. The fallen beam had crushed her leg and caused a deep gash in her side. Without treatment, she would bleed out within minutes. More explosions shook the building. Alex heard shouting and weapons fire. This wasn't an accident, but an attack. He worked quickly, applying pressure bandages and injecting pain medication. The queen watched him with large, almond-shaped eyes of deep violet. When he finished stabilizing her wounds, Alex knew they couldn't stay. The palace was coming down around them, and the weapons fire was getting closer. "We need to move," he said, making walking motions with his fingers. The queen seemed to understand. She pointed down a different corridor and made a series of hand signals. Alex carefully lifted her. She was lighter than he expected, despite being nearly 7 feet tall. Following her directions, they navigated through hidden passages in the palace walls. Twice they had to hide from armed Zorelians who looked different from the royal guards. Rebels or terrorists, Alex guessed. The queen remained silent despite her pain, only making small gestures to guide their escape. They emerged from the palace into a dense forest with strange purple-leaved trees. The queen pointed to a mountain in the distance. Night was falling and both of Zorelia's moons were rising, casting an eerie silver-blue light over the landscape. Alex kept going until the queen touched his arm, pointing to a small cave hidden by hanging vines. Inside, he gently set her down and checked her wounds. The bleeding had slowed, but infection was a risk, especially in an alien environment. He tried to explain with gestures that he needed to clean her wounds better. The queen nodded and began drawing in the dirt beside them. First a simple picture of the palace, then explosions, then figures that appeared to be fighting. "A coup?" Alex asked, pointing to her drawing. The queen nodded, then drew more. A group opposed to contact with humans. She pointed to herself, then made a sweeping gesture toward the sky, toward Earth. "You wanted alliance with us. They didn't." She nodded again. For 3 days they hid in the wilderness. Alex changed the queen's bandages, gathered strange fruits she indicated were safe to eat, and kept watch for pursuers. They developed a simple communication system of drawings and gestures. He learned her name was Neria, and she learned he was Alex. By the third day, Neria could stand with support. Her wounds were healing remarkably fast, faster than a human's would. That night, as they sat by a small fire in their cave, both moons shone brightly through the cave entrance. Neria drew in the dirt again, this time the image of a human and Zarelian standing together with a line connecting them. Then she looked at Alex with an intensity that made his heart race. "I don't understand," he said, though part of him did. Neria touched her chest, then reached out and touched his. The connection between their species, she seemed to say, could start with them that night. Under twin moons, they bridged the gap between their worlds. Despite their physical differences, they found a surprising compatibility. Her touch left trails of warmth on his skin, and when they kissed, Alex tasted something like honey and starlight. In the morning, Alex detected Earth rescue signals on his emergency communicator. Forces had been sent to find survivors of the diplomatic mission. He needed to signal them, but he knew Neria wouldn't be safe if the rebels found her location. "I'll come back," he promised, though he wasn't sure she understood. He left her with water and food, plus his backup communicator set to emergency frequencies. He trekked toward the signal for hours. As he crossed a river, he slipped on wet stones and hit his head. The world spun, and darkness crept in at the edges of his vision. He managed to activate his emergency beacon before collapsing. When he woke, he was in the medical bay of the USS Orion. The ship's doctor told him they'd found him unconscious by the river. When Alex asked about the queen, the doctor looked confused. "What queen?" "The Zarelian royal family is presumed dead in the attack. We found no survivors at the palace." Alex tried to explain, but his memories were jumbled from the head injury. He couldn't remember exactly where he'd left Neria or how to find the cave again. When he described his time with her, the medical staff exchanged worried glances. "Lieutenant, you suffered a serious concussion. These memories might not be reliable." Earth forces, facing increasing hostility from the rebel Zarelian faction now in power, soon withdrew from the system. Despite Alex's protests, no search was conducted for the queen. His confused accounts were dismissed as trauma-induced hallucinations. 2 months later, still suffering from headaches and memory gaps, Alex received an honorable discharge from service. As the transport ship carried him back to Earth, he stared out at the stars, feeling as though he'd left something essential behind, something he might never find again. 5 years passed on Zarelia Prime. The morning light filtered through the crystal windows of the royal palace, casting rainbow patterns across Queen Neria's chambers. She stood on her balcony, watching her daughter play in the gardens below. 4-year-old Lyra ran among the flowering plants, her laughter echoing up to where Neria stood. Lyra was different from other Zarelian children. While her skin had the same iridescent quality as her mother's, it was paler, almost cream-colored in places. Her eyes, instead of the solid violet color of pure Zarelians, had whites and dark pupils like a human's. And her hair, unlike the smooth silver strands of Zarelians, grew in thick brown curls. The palace staff adored the young princess but whispered questions about her appearance. Neria had never publicly named Lyra's father. Many assumed he had been a casualty of the failed coup 5 years ago. Only Neria's most trusted advisor, Krell, knew the truth. "Your Majesty," Krell said, approaching from behind. "The council is waiting," Neria nodded but didn't move immediately. "Look at her, Krell. She grows more like him every day." Krell stood beside his queen. "The resemblance is indeed strong. Have you reconsidered telling the council about your plans?" "Not yet. They would try to stop me." Neria turned from the balcony. "They still fear Earth. They still believe contact with humans will weaken us." "Yet you proved them wrong," Krell said, gesturing toward Lyra. "Your daughter is stronger than any pure Zarelian child her age. Her mind develops faster and her energy readings are off our charts, which is why some would see her as a threat, not a blessing." Neria smoothed her royal robes. "Let's not keep the council waiting." In the great hall, 12 Zarelian elders sat around a crescent table. They rose as Neria entered. She had changed in 5 years, growing more confident, more powerful. The attempted coup had failed, and Neria had rebuilt her government, carefully removing those loyal to the rebels. "Your Majesty," said Elder Vex, the oldest council member, "we have reviewed your proposal to reopen diplomatic channels with Earth. And?" Neria kept her face neutral, though her skin rippled slightly with blue, a sign of anxiety that she quickly controlled. "We have concerns," said Elder Vex. "The humans retreated 5 years ago without establishing formal relations. They left us in chaos. They left because we were in chaos," Neria corrected. "Because rebels attacked their diplomats and tried to kill me. Now we are stable, strong. It is time to try again." Another elder spoke up. "What benefit would this bring Zarelia? We have expanded trade with 3 other systems since closing our borders to Earth." Neria had prepared for this question. "Earth has medical technology we need. Their advancements in genetic science could help us fight the wasting disease affecting our southern continent." This was true, but it wasn't her real reason. For 5 years, Neria had secretly learned everything she could about Earth. She had mastered their main language, studied their cultures, and prepared for the day she would search for Alex. The debate lasted hours. In the end, Neria got what? She wanted permission to send a small delegation to Earth for exploratory talks. What the council didn't know was that Neria planned to lead this delegation herself, and she would take Lyra with her that evening. As Neria tucked her daughter into bed, Lyra asked a question she had asked many times before. "Mama, why don't I have a father like my friends do?" Neria sat on the edge of the bed. "You have a father, little one. He lives very far away. Why doesn't he visit?" "He doesn't know about you." Neria stroked her daughter's curly hair. "He had to leave before I knew you were growing inside me." "Is he Zarelian? Is that why I look different?" Neria hesitated. She had never lied to her daughter. No, little star. "He's human." Lyra's eyes widened. She had seen pictures of humans in her study books. "A human from Earth?" "Yes. He was brave and kind. He saved my life during the bad times, before you were born. Will I ever meet him?" Neria kissed her daughter's forehead. "That is why we are going on a journey soon. To find him." 2 weeks later, Neria's personal ship prepared for launch. She had chosen only her most trusted crew, including Krell and her chief scientist, Dr. Zara. In her private chamber on the ship, Dr. Zara showed Neria a small device. "This scanner is keyed to Lyra's genetic pattern. It can detect compatible DNA within a range of 50 meters. If the human's genetic code is similar enough to the markers in Lyra, this will find him." "What if he's not in the areas we search?" Neria asked. "Then we use their information networks." Dr. Zara handed Neria a data crystal. "I've prepared a search algorithm. With just a name and description, we can narrow down possible locations." Neria clutched the small metal object she always carried, the emergency communicator Alex had left her. Though its power had died years ago, she kept it as a reminder. The journey to Earth took 17 days. Lyra spent hours looking out the viewing ports, asking endless questions about the planet they were approaching. "Will Father know me?" she asked as the blue-green world grew larger in the viewport. "I don't know, little star," Neria answered honestly. "It has been a long time." When they entered Earth's solar system, Neria sent the formal diplomatic message she and Krell had prepared. The response came quickly. Earth was surprised, but willing to receive a Zarelian delegation. As they approached Earth's orbit, Neria was called to the bridge. The communications officer looked nervous. "Your Majesty, we're receiving a direct message from Earth Space Command. They're asking specifically about our intentions." Neria sat in the captain's chair. "Open the channel." The screen lit up, showing a stern-faced human woman in a military uniform. "This is Admiral Kate Wilson of Earth Space Command. We welcome the Zarelian delegation, but request clarification on your sudden interest in renewing contact after 5 years of silence." Neria had practiced for this moment. She spoke in perfect English. Admiral Wilson, I am Queen Neria of Zerelia. We come in peace to establish the diplomatic relations that were disrupted 5 years ago. My people have moved past our internal conflicts and wish to open a new chapter with Earth. Admiral Wilson looked surprised at Neria's command of English but nodded. We've designated a landing site for your vessel and will provide an escort. May I ask why the Queen herself has come rather than sending representatives? Neria allowed, her skin to shift to warm gold tones, a sign of openness in Zerelian culture. Some missions are too important to delegate, Admiral. I have personal reasons as well as political ones for this visit. Personal reasons? Admiral Wilson's eyes narrowed slightly. Yes, I wish to thank those from the original mission who tried to help my people. Neria paused, particularly a medical officer who saved lives during the attack. After the communication ended, Krell approached Neria. That was not the full truth, Your Majesty. No, Neria agreed, watching Earth grow larger in the viewscreen. But it was not a lie either. As their ship began its descent toward the blue planet, Neria felt both hope and fear. Somewhere on that vast world was the father of her child, a man who might not even remember her. After 5 years of waiting and planning, she was finally close to finding Alex again. The salty air filled Alex's lungs as he jogged along the beach. Early morning was his favorite time, when the small coastal town of Pine Harbor, Maine was still quiet. 5 years had passed since his medical discharge from space service. 5 years of trying to build a normal life away from the memories that still haunted his dreams. At 37, Alex looked fit and healthy. His job as a town paramedic kept him active. The locals knew him as the quiet guy who was great in emergencies but kept to himself. Few knew he had once served on spaceships. Even fewer knew about the nightmares. Alex slowed to a walk as he reached his small blue house at the edge of town. It sat alone on a cliff overlooking the ocean. The isolation suited him. He checked his watch, still an hour before his shift started at the medical center. Inside, he showered quickly and made coffee. As he did every morning, he took the strange metal object from his bedside drawer and turned it over in his hands. It was the only thing he had that felt connected to his jumbled memories of Zerelia. The doctors had called it space debris, but Alex knew it was more. He just couldn't remember what. His phone rang, startling him. The caller ID showed Mason. Captain Linda Mason had been his commanding officer on the USS Orion. They hadn't spoken in nearly 3 years. Hello? Alex answered cautiously. Carter, it's Mason. We need to talk. Her voice was tense. It's been a while, Captain. What's this about? Not over the phone. I'm in Portland. I can be in Pine Harbor by noon. Alex frowned. I have a shift until 6. I'll meet you after. This is important, Carter. It's about Zerelia. The name sent a jolt through Alex's body, followed by a sharp pain in his head. Flashes of purple-tinged skin and twin moons crossed his vision. Alex? You still there? Linda's voice brought him back. Yeah, fine. Meet me at Sal's Diner at 6:30. Throughout his shift, Alex couldn't focus. He checked the news during his break and saw the headlines. Alien delegation arrives from Zerelia, first contact renewed after 5 years. The accompanying video showed a sleek, silver ship landing at a military base. The headache returned. Stronger this time. Alex closed the news app and popped 2 pain relievers. By the time his shift ended, Alex was on edge. He arrived at Sal's Diner early and chose a booth in the back with a view of both entrances. Old habits from his military days, Linda Mason entered exactly at 6:30. She looked older, with new lines around her eyes and streaks of gray in her once black hair. She wore civilian clothes but carried herself like the officer she still was. You look like hell, Carter, she said as she slid into the booth. Nice to see you too, Captain. It's Colonel now. She ordered coffee from the waitress, then waited until they were alone. You've seen the news? Alex nodded. Zerelians are back, so what? I've been out of the service for 5 years. So what? Linda leaned forward. The Zerelian Queen herself is leading the delegation, and she's asking about you. The coffee cup froze halfway to Alex's lips. Me? Why would she ask about me? That's what we'd like to know. Linda pulled out a tablet and showed him a photo. "This is Queen Neria." Alex stared at the image of a tall, elegant alien woman with iridescent purple-tinted skin. Her eyes were deep violet, her features both strange and beautiful. Something stirred in his memory, but the pounding in his head intensified. "She's specifically requesting information about medical personnel from the first contact mission," Linda continued, "particularly a lieutenant who might have been separated from the main group during the palace attack." Alex set down his cup carefully. "There were other medics on that mission. None who went missing for 3 days and were found with a head injury." Linda studied him. "You really don't remember, do you?" "The doctor said my memories of those days might never fully return." Alex touched the metal object in his pocket. "I get ... dreams, but nothing clear," Linda nodded. "Well, the Queen seems very interested in finding you. And she's not alone." She swiped to another image, this one showing the Queen with a small child. The child looked mostly Zarelian, but with strange differences: brownish curly hair, eyes with white parts and pupils, skin lighter than the typical Zarelian. "This is her daughter," Linda said quietly, 4 years old. "Do the math, Carter." Alex felt the room spin slightly. "Are you suggesting?" "I'm not suggesting anything. But certain people in the government are very interested in the child's parentage. And in why the Queen is so determined to find a specific human medical officer." Alex pushed away from the table. "This is crazy. Humans and Zarelians couldn't possibly... Apparently they can." Linda put away the tablet. "The child is showing remarkable abilities, beyond either human or Zarelian norms. She's of great interest to scientists and military planners on both worlds." "What do they want from me?" Alex asked. "First, to confirm if you're the father, then... I don't know. But I thought you deserved a warning before they come looking for you." After Linda left, Alex walked along the beach for hours, the metal object clutched in his hand. That night, the dreams came stronger than ever: a burning palace, hiding in a cave, twin moons, a woman with skin like twilight. The next morning, Alex found strange markings drawn in the sand near his house, circular symbols with lines connecting them. When he approached, the metal object in his pocket grew warm. Over the next few days, more strange things happened. His lights flickered without explanation. His TV turned on by itself, always showing news about the Zarelian delegation. His elderly neighbor, Mrs. Holt, reported seeing a strange, glowing woman watching his house at night. Alex began to feel he was being watched. Twice he thought he saw movement in the woods behind his house. Once, he was sure he glimpsed a tall figure with shimmering skin disappearing around a corner in town. On Friday, Linda called again. "They're looking for you officially now. A formal request has been made to interview all surviving members of the first contact team." "What should I do?" Alex asked. "That's up to you, but these people aren't going away." She paused. "There's something else. The Queen's daughter. She's been having dreams about a man by the ocean. She drew a picture of your house, Alex, a house she's never seen." That night, Alex couldn't sleep. He sat on his porch watching the waves crash against the rocks below. The metal object lay on the table beside him, and for the first time he noticed it was glowing faintly in the darkness. A noise from the path leading up from the beach made him tense. He stood slowly, peering into the darkness. A small figure emerged from the shadows, not an adult, but a child. A little girl with curly brown hair and strange, luminous skin that caught the moonlight. As she stepped onto his porch, Alex felt a connection snap into place in his mind. The headache that had plagued him for years suddenly lifted. Memories flooded back, not all of them, but enough. "Hello," the child said in perfect English. "My name is Lyra. I've been looking for you for a very long time." Behind her, a taller figure emerged from the shadows. Queen Neria stepped into the moonlight, her violet eyes fixed on Alex's face. "We both have," she said softly. Alex stood frozen on his porch, staring at the two figures in the moonlight. The Queen looked just as he remembered from his newly returning memories, tall and graceful with skin that shifted between purple and blue. But the child was something he had never imagined. "How did you find me?" he finally asked. Neria stepped closer. Your DNA signature, it calls to us. The little girl, Lyra, moved forward without fear. She reached up and touched Alex's hand. The moment their skin connected, a spark of energy passed between them. Images flashed through Alex's mind, a burning palace, a cave, twin moons shining on purple trees. You remember now, Lyra said. It wasn't a question. Alex nodded slowly. Some of it. Not everything. A car engine sounded in the distance, braking. The moment, Neria tensed. We should go inside. We were followed from the hotel. Alex ushered them into his house, closing the blinds. In the light, he could see Lyra more clearly. She had his eyes and nose, but her skin had a faint iridescence like her mother's. When she smiled, he saw himself in that smile. You're really my father, Lyra said, studying his face just as carefully as he studied hers. It seems so, Alex replied. Still trying to process this reality, Neria placed the metal object from Alex's pocket on the table. You kept it all these years? I didn't remember what it was. It's a royal marker? A beacon meant for family to find each other if separated. Neria touched it, and the object glowed brighter. It contains our genetic codes. Yours, too, from when you held it that night. Headlights swept across the window as a car pulled up outside. Alex peeked through the blinds to see a black SUV parking in his driveway. 2 men in suits stepped out. Government agents, he said. How did they find you? They've been monitoring U.S. since we arrived, Neria explained. I was granted permission to visit Earth for diplomatic reasons, but they became suspicious when I started asking about the original mission. A knock came at the door. Alex motioned for Neria and Lyra to stay in the living room while he answered. 2 stern-faced men stood on his porch. The older one spoke first. Mr. Carter? I'm Agent Paul Benson with Homeland Security. This is Agent Diaz. We need to speak with you about some visitors you may have received. It's late, Alex said, not opening the door fully. Can this wait? Until morning? I'm afraid not, sir. We have reason to believe the Zarelian Queen and her daughter are in your home. This is a matter of national security. Before Alex could respond, Lyra appeared beside him. Hello, she said brightly to the agents. Are you here to see my father too? The agents exchanged looks of surprise. Agent Benson recovered first. Young lady, we need you and your mother to come with us. There are proper channels for diplomatic visits. Neria joined them at the door, standing tall and regal. We followed your protocols. Your government approved our visit. We simply wished for a private moment with Alex Carter before official meetings. Your approval was for diplomatic functions in Washington, not midnight visits to former military personnel, Agent Diaz said. We have orders to escort all of you to a secure facility for debriefing. Alex felt protective instincts rise within him. This is my home. You can't just... Actually, we can, Agent Benson interrupted, showing a document. National security authorization? Now, we can do this pleasantly or not, but all of you are coming with us. In the end, they went peacefully. The drive to the nearby military base took an hour. Alex sat in the back of the SUV with Lyra between him and Neria. The child held both their hands, creating a circuit that somehow strengthened Alex's returning memories. He remembered more of those 3 days on Zarelia now, how he had treated Neria's wounds, how they had developed their own language of gestures and drawings, how, on that last night, they had connected in ways that should have been impossible between different species. The secure facility turned out to be an underground bunker at the naval base. They were led to a conference room where, to Alex's surprise, Linda Mason waited. Sorry about this, Carter, she said, gesturing to chairs around the table. Things escalated faster than I expected. What exactly is happening here? Alex asked as they sat down. A diplomatic incident is what's happening, said a new voice. A woman in a blue suit entered, followed by military officers. I'm Diane Foster, Secretary of State. When the queen of an alien civilization sneaks away from her security detail to find a specific human, it raises concerns. Neria straightened in her chair. I did not sneak away. I informed your escorts I needed to conduct personal business. Personal business that apparently involves a former military medic and a child with very unusual genetic makeup. Secretary Foster replied. She turned to Alex. Mr. Carter, were you aware you potentially fathered a child with Queen Neria 5 years ago? Before Alex could answer, the metal object in his pocket began to glow brightly. Lyra reached for it, and when she touched it, the room's lights flickered. A holographic image appeared above the table, a DNA strand spinning slowly, parts of it highlighted. That's not possible, one of the scientists in the room whispered, looking at readings on his tablet. The genetic compatibility shouldn't, but it did, Neria interrupted. And our daughter is not an experiment to be studied. She is the first of what could be a true bridge between our worlds. Secretary Foster looked troubled. Your Majesty, you must understand our concerns. A child with both human and Zarelian DNA, potentially with abilities we don't understand. I can show you, Lyra said suddenly. She closed her eyes, and the air in the room seemed to vibrate. Everyone felt a gentle pressure in their minds. Like a door being opened, Alex gasped as images flooded his consciousness, not just his own memories now, but Neria's too. He saw himself through her eyes, carrying her from the burning palace. He felt her fear turn to trust, then to something deeper. Around the table, everyone sat rigid, experiencing the same shared vision. When it ended, the room was silent. Linda was the first to speak. The child is telepathic. Not exactly, Neria said, stroking Lyra's hair proudly. She can connect minds that are already bonded. Alex and I formed such a bond during our time together. She merely completed the circuit. Secretary Foster looked shaken. And she can do this with anyone? No, only with those who are open to connection. Those who are not afraid. Neria looked directly at Alex. I came to Earth for diplomatic reasons, yes, but I also came because our daughter deserves to know her father. And because what began between us 5 years ago was left unfinished. Alex felt something he hadn't experienced in years, a sense of belonging. He looked at Lyra, this miracle child who shared his blood. Then at Neria, the queen who had crossed the stars to find him. What happens now? He asked. Secretary Foster sighed. Now we have a lot to discuss. About diplomatic relations, about your daughter's unique status, and about what this means for future human-Zarelian relations. I have a suggestion, Neria sighed, her voice carrying the authority of a queen. Let us start by telling the truth. 2 months after the reunion at the military base, Alex stood at the viewport of the Zarelian human joint vessel Unity. He watched as the blue-green planet of New Haven grew larger. This would be their home now, a terraformed moon in a neutral system between Earth and Zarelia territories. The past weeks had been a whirlwind of diplomatic meetings, medical tests, and life-changing decisions. Once the truth about Lyra's existence became known, both governments had reacted with a mixture of concern and fascination. Scientists from both worlds confirmed what seemed impossible. Human and Zarelian DNA had combined to create a child who possessed strengths from both species. Lyra's telepathic abilities were just the beginning. She could process information faster than either humans or Zarelians. Her immune system was remarkably strong, and she seemed to instinctively understand complex technologies. Some officials wanted to keep her isolated for study. Others saw her as a potential weapon. But in the end, a different solution emerged. Thinking about home? Neria asked, joining Alex at the viewport. After 2 months together, he still marveled at her grace and beauty. Thinking about our new home, he corrected, taking her hand. Her skin felt warm against his. The now familiar tingle of connection between them comforting. Lyra bounded up to them, her energy seemingly endless. Are we there yet? Can I see my new room soon? Alex smiled at his daughter. In such a short time, she had claimed his heart completely. Almost there, sweetheart. Just a few more hours. Neria knelt beside Lyra. Remember what we talked about? This is a special place where humans and Zarelians will live together. You'll be meeting other children soon. Will they be like me? Lyra asked, her eyes wide. Not exactly like you, Alex said gently. You're the first of your kind. But that's why this place is so important. You're showing both our worlds what's possible. The intercom sounded. Landing party to the bridge. Preparing final approach. As they walked through the ship, crew members, both human and Zarelian, nodded respectfully. Though Miria had technically given up her role as active queen to lead this mission, she was still royalty. And as her chosen partner, Alex was treated with similar respect. On the bridge, Linda Mason waited. She had volunteered to command the security team for the new colony. "Ready for landing, Your Majesty," she said to Neria, then smiled at Alex. "Quite a change from Pine Harbor, eh, Carter?" Alex nodded. "Never thought I'd leave Earth again. Certainly never imagined it would be like this." The ship began its descent. Through the main view screen, they could see the landing pad near a cluster of buildings. The colony was small but growing, living quarters, research facilities, and a central dome for community gatherings. "New Haven Control, this is Unity requesting landing clearance," the pilot said. "Unity, this is New Haven Control. You are cleared for landing. Welcome home." As the ship touched down, Lyra squeezed both her parents' hands. The three of them had barely separated since their reunion. The connection between them had only grown stronger, sometimes allowing them to sense each other's feelings without words. Outside the ship, a small crowd waited. 50 colonists had already arrived, scientists, engineers, and support staff from both worlds who believed in the importance of this project. Alex, Neria, and Lyra were the first to exit the ship. A cheer went up from the waiting colonists. Dr. Zara, who had arrived with the advance team, stepped forward. "Your quarters are ready, and the school facilities for Lyra and the other children will be operational tomorrow." "Other children?" Lyra asked excitedly. "Yes, young princes. 5 human families and 3 Zarelian families have brought their children. You'll be the oldest in your class." As they toured the colony, Alex was impressed by how much had been accomplished in such a short time. The habitat domes were comfortable, with earth plants growing alongside Zarelian flora. The research facilities were state-of-the-art, designed to study everything from agriculture to medicine to the unique biology that had made Lyra possible. Their new home was a spacious unit near the center of the colony. It had been designed with both human and Zarelian needs in mind. Standard furniture alongside the crystalline resting platforms that Zarelians preferred. That evening, they stood on the balcony of their new home, watching the sunset. New Haven had 2 suns, just as Zarelia had 2 moons. The double sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and purple. "It reminds me of that night," Neria said softly. "Our first night together," Alex nodded. "I remember now. All of it." His memories had fully returned over the past weeks, helped by the mental connection they shared through Lyra. "Do you regret it?" Neria asked, "leaving Earth behind?" "No," Alex said without hesitation. "My life there was empty. I was just existing, not living. Now I have purpose again." He looked at Lyra, who was busy arranging her toys in her new room. "I have family." The next morning, they attended the official opening ceremony for the colony. Representatives from both Earth and Zarelia had traveled to witness this historic moment. Neria had been asked to speak. She stood before the gathered colonists and officials, her royal bearing evident despite her simpler clothes. 5 years ago, during a time of conflict and fear, 2 people from different worlds found connection. Today we stand as living proof that our differences need not divide us. They can strengthen us. She gestured to Lyra, who stood proudly between her parents. "Our daughter represents what is possible when we open ourselves to new possibilities. This colony is just the beginning." Alex stepped forward when it was his turn to speak. Public speaking had never been his strength, but he found the words came easily. "I was lost for 5 years," he said simply. "Now I'm found. New Haven isn't just a name for this colony. It's what we're offering to both our worlds, a new way forward." After the ceremony, the 3 of them walked through the main dome where other families were gathering. Lyra soon spotted the other children and, after a quick look to her parents for permission, ran to join them. They watched as she introduced herself, moving easily between the human and Zarelian children, bridging the gap between them just by being herself. She changed everything, Nerea said softly. She already has, Alex replied, taking her hand. In the distance, they could see ships approaching, more colonists arriving from both worlds. News of the successful hybrid child had sparked interest from scientists, adventurers, and those who simply believed in a future where different species could not just coexist, but create something new together. As the twin suns set on their first full day in New Haven, Alex and Nerea stood with their arms around each other, watching their daughter play with children from two worlds. The journey that had begun in a burning palace 5 years ago had led them here, to a new home, a new family, and a new beginning for both their species.